Hello and welcome to another video by Rick Miracle. Me. In my new series in the year 2020. This is January 19th. Year 2020 Rick Miracle Report number 5. So I've been talking about UFOs and aliens. Maybe a investigation into reality. What's the truth? I'm going to continue on with the conversation from the Contact magazine. Real war is on the mental battlefield. 1995. And the topic I've been talking about is UFOs. The Grand Deception and the Coming New World Order. So I'm starting to put this puzzle together. I've got an amazing collection of UFO Alien books. I just got some more magazines in the mail. UFO. Cutting Edge Air Power. 1990. UFO Hypothesis in UFO research. So I read these things. That's 1989. UFO, the alien question. 1989. So it's a challenge to get these magazines. I think another one I showed in a previous video I got in the mail recently. Flying saucer occupants. So who are they looking out of that craft? People on the ground waving. So what is the truth with regard to this conversation? So I'm going to get back to this Contact magazine, 1995, and continue reading from the article I read about in part 4. So here we go. It is certain that a dark veil of secrecy has been surrounding the entire phenomena ever since the beginning days of the so-called modern era of UFO sightings from the late 40s. So right after World War II. I think it was Kenneth Arnold spotted a bunch of UFO, a fleet of craft in the mountains in Washington State, 1947. So if you add, take it to 1950, and you add 50 years, plus this is 2020, 70 years, 71, 2, 3 years. But some authors have gone back and discovered that there have been odd sightings like UFOs throughout history. So who are they? Should we be concerned? So what does this magazine say? Even to this day, the question remains unanswered. Did some physical spacecraft of unknown origin actually crash land in several locations in Southwest, such as near Roswell and near Aztec in New Mexico, as rumors have it? I've made videos on these topics in my series Freemasonry and Satanism, and making videos since 2011 on the dumping of chemicals in the sky spraying, whatever they're dumping. And in 2013 I started doing book reviews after reading books for 10 years. And in July 2019 YouTube terminated my channel, so I'm now on Vimeo in my 16th year, continuing my investigation into WTH, what the heck is going on. So I'm just trying to have a conversation so we can kind of figure out what the heck is going on, what's it all about. And I have some interesting theories. So anyways, this article was written by NORI, a civilian intelligence group in California, and it's being interrupted by Hanton, apparently some entity who channels through Dharma, And Hanton is critiquing Norrie's article in the Contact magazine. So Hanton speaks next. This is apparently interdimensional being channeling information. So did the craft really crash in New Mexico and Aztec? Hanton says, yes and no. Not directly. The craft in point were directly from your bases and inhabited by hybrid DNA replicas and simple hybrid characters. By the way, these aliens manufactured and programmed in your laboratories would not be allowed back into outer space, or inner space for that matter. So what's the difference between outer space and inner space? And apparently they had some DNA from some of these beings, and they are creating generic alien beings with the gray types and the reptilian types. And apparently the Galactic Federation has control to prevent these evil forces on planet Earth and these creatures that are created, hybrids, from leaving the Earth's atmosphere. So the other question comes to my mind, why am I here? Why are we here? Some interesting answers in this material. We have craft on your place and hidden in your dungeons, but they are not what have been presented to you by the big boys of the New World controllers to scare the pants off society. So apparently they're not they're from the secret societies, Illuminati, wealthy banksters, and people looking forward to bringing about a global world order who are creating these technologies. Hanton says, we are not insects or lizards. We are in the image of God, man. The replicas of lower energies are conjured to fool God's creations. Man of human expression. Remember, you are as physical, perceiving beings, but a thought, projection, manifestation of God into a perception of physical sensing form. So I've said all along we're spiritual beings and inhabiting these biological bodies. So what Hanton continues to say, I care not who agrees or disagrees with me. The truth will sustain itself into eternity, and I bring truth, says Hanton. In 1947 and in 1948 were the actual events, back to Norrie who wrote this article, were the actual events, or could they have been some kind of prototype of a series of staged events for some observers or to some selected observers? Or did a dark, supernatural force of some kind enter the earthly dimension, considering the fact that it was coincidentally just around the time of the miraculous development in the Middle East, namely the rebirth of Israel as a nation in 1948. So apparently, I think we can agree that this New World Order will be controlled through the forces that brought us the state of Israel after World War II. And I believe that's why we had World War I and World War II, to topple the Turkey Ottoman Empire, which controlled the entire Middle East. And they've been working towards this since 1776, ironically the same year that the United States declared its independence, 1776. So apparently the United States was going to be the military force to control the world. And of course they've controlled the politicians and much of the banking system for the past few hundred years, and obtained that control rather violently, repeatedly. Revolutions and assassinations, etc. Back to Norrie's article in Contact magazine. Or is this entire alleged scenario part of a carefully orchestrated disinformation campaign by the government itself for some reason or other? These are all questions. So back in 1995, when Norrie wrote this article, and of course he was the leader of a civilian intelligence group, these are the questions they were asking. And we're asking a lot of these questions these days. A lot of strange things are going on. And it looks like they are bent on bringing about another war in the Middle East with Iran, and so much more. And installing all the advanced technologies to monitor everything we do 24/7. And apparently selected frequencies that can harm us, program us, burn our eyeballs, make us blind with these frequencies. Think about that. These frequencies are down into the microscopic size of atoms and water molecules and blood cells. So I suppose if they selected the right frequency, they could pop our eyes and make us blind. What are we up against? Hanton says, after Norrie said that, does this have something to do with Israel? And Hanton says, I thought you would never get there. And by the way, when I'm reading this magazine, Hanton's comments are in highlighted or darkened sentences. And you can go on 4winds10.com or .org and get the Phoenix Journals and these other magazines they were publishing, the Contact magazines and the Liberator, all for free from the early 1990 to almost 1999, 2000. Tons of information, free PDFs, and of course I've been working at getting the books, and I have showed those in a previous video. So every now and then I search on the used book sites and see if I can affordably buy the Phoenix Journals. Here's just one. About 150 of these things. So I take a lot of time to try to get all these books and read them and continue to solidify what I believe in my mind. And it is quite perplexing, to make no mistake about it. But back to this article. Or is this entire alleged scenario part of a carefully orchestrated disinformation campaign by the government itself for some reason or other? These are all questions I believe that we must ponder. Incidentally, the Highway 666 in New Mexico that I mentioned a while ago was so designated in 1947. So apparently 1947 was a turning point. And a lot of this 666 satanic Luciferic activity symbols have been going on. And I've been watching some other videos, and it seems quite accurate. CIA, the successor organization of the OSS, was created in 47, apparently a successor organization to some German intelligence agency. The year 1947 was also the year, and this is Hanton speaking, in which EG&G, a super secret military industrial government contracting firm, was founded. Wow, 1947 was busy. This is the same company where Robert Lazar claimed to have worked for under contract from the Department of the Navy for 6 months or so a few years ago until the Nevada test site. In the Nevada test site. I do have a book, I believe, by Robert Lazar claiming to be one of the insiders about UFOs and aircraft. Still think Bobby is a full-blown patriot, just revealing secrets? Come now, these parasites do not make blunders of this kind. Good grief, readers. They had to have leakage of information to build you to today's point of view. So apparently, from my studying this material, the leaked information, what all these magazines I've been going over, and I've been collecting some more, was intentional. Making all this stuff the topic of the day, these magazines, so people would start believing this. So if that's what they want us to believe and it's false, what is the truth? It doesn't even matter if the parties involved have any notion of what they are or what they are doing. This is, however, a clue. These so-called revealers of UFO and alien information stay as far away from this source as is possible. Such a writer as Norio Hayakawa can't wait to make these connections as he reads this information. You know when you have the truth. The dark side will not survive in the light of such truth or in the presence of the lighted energies. So are we being deceived? Got to check my clock here every now and then to see if my 30 minutes are up. There is no doubt in my mind that an official cover-up of major proportions on the entire subject was imposed by some super governmental authority when legitimate governmental agencies began to realize that the entire phenomenon was in an astounding combination of the seemingly physical and a yet unknown ultra-dimension phenomena crossing into what could only be termed as the psychic, occultic, or even ethereal domain, even far surpassing the realm of quantum physics. Quantum physics, by the way, covers the most fascinating conceptual areas of parallel universes and superdimensional physics. Again, a coincidence? And Hanton is interrupting Nori on this article, and Hanton says there are no coincidences. So back to Nori. Yet we must take into consideration that such an extensive, long-lasting, and apparently successful cover-up may possibly exist not only in just one, but in several layers. Regulated authorities themselves within such layers may be incognizant, not aware, of such multi-leveled cover-up, much less of the intricate manipulation of information and the disinformation taking place within such layers. The real question may be, just who is manipulating whom? And this is Nori contemplating and using his brain and thinking. Ultimately, however, it could very well be the alleged entities themselves who may be the real culprits behind the deception scenario. And Hanton interrupts again, saying, "Indeed, do not be foolish." So apparently the evil forces are here on planet Earth, no doubt into the occult, communicating with non-physical beings. By the way, I was watching another video, and something interesting. Washington, D.C. and the Egyptian pyramids apparently aimed at Orion, and all these Freemason lodges, all at certain orientation. According to this video I was watching, apparently, like the pyramids in Egypt aimed at Orion, apparently it's almost like a radio receiver. It allows them to have clearer communication with these interdimensional beings. It's part of the occultic witchcraft technologies and knowledge of the secret societies. Apparently, even with Nikola Tesla, clearly saying on stage when he was an older man, the inventor of alternate current and wireless energies, etc., considered a genius. He said, "I'm not the genius you think I am. I see visions, I hear voices, I have visitations and dreams." Somebody was feeding Nikola Tesla the information to bring us to where we are today, where these advanced technologies are about to take over and control the human race. And almost like, if you remember the magic mirror on the wall, who's the fairest one of all, back in history, mythology. And then on Star Trek, they had this TV screen mirror that you could pull up, and if you didn't like anybody, you could just push a button and they would disappear, be killed. So with these technologies they're bringing us right now online, apparently has that capability. This is a very sinister thing coming into our future, so it seems. So I make these videos and continue to share it with the understanding that it is a dangerous thing to do, to talk about this stuff and share this information. That's why a lot of people lost their channels on YouTube and on Twitter and on Facebook. And in my research in the past 15 years, there's just an untold number of people who have had mysterious accidents in particular fields like biology, etc. Military people, bankster people. So somebody is trying to control the narrative, control the information, and they're not above taking somebody out. There's no doubt in my mind that what I could only best describe as highly intelligent but characteristically serpentine, and I'm using the word in a double meaning, ultra-dimensional negative energies. And if you look at these secret societies, even the Egyptians and the Freemasons magazines, and so much more, they all use the serpent symbol. So apparently we have a serpentine religious cult controlling our world. And so you have to ask yourself, when you talk about Rosicrucians or the Kabbalah, these people are all worshiping the serpent. And apparently God told Jeremiah, after the King Solomon's temple was built, after the Hebrews had escaped from Egypt, 500 years after they built the temple, God spoke to Jeremiah and told him what was going to happen. And he spoke to Nebuchadnezzar, probably saying that wrong, and his prophets, and told them to go down into Judea and destroy the temple and take the people into captivity, the ones they didn't kill, because they were sacrificing their sons and daughters to the demon god Moloch, which is represented as an owl. And then you have our politicians meeting at the Bohemian Grove in California, pictures of them, Reagan and etc., and where they developed the nuclear bomb. They have a big satanic ritual under a giant owl. And if you look on the back of the dollar bill, on the front of the dollar bill, perched on the top right one is a little owl. And Sandy Hook shooting, that one newscaster held up a picture of an owl, and you can research this, and the politicians are wearing these little tiny emblems on their patels, on their jackets, little owls. So this satanic Moloch Lucifer cult is serpentine and seems to be in cahoots with our leaders trying to bring about a global world order. Just trying to put two and two together here. And it's mentioning it in this article. So ultra-dimensional negative entities ingeniously materializing and conveniently posing as extraterrestrial aliens are presently here on Earth and are interacting with a deceived human agency, such as the representing a de facto secret international government. So there you have it. It isn't some blue avians or beings from other planets and other galaxies coming to Earth to kind of do commerce with us and interact with us and have a relationship with us, like all those TV programs we've been seeing. Apparently, it is spiritual, demonic entities who are imprisoned on planet Earth or under the planet, and are not allowed into space, and probably they call them watchers or archons or fallen angels or demons. They go by many different names, but they're all serpentine, and they worship the serpent, whether it's a real serpent or a metaphor. And even in the Bible, when Jesus overthrew the money changers' tables, he said, "Ye are of your father the serpent." And even if you look at the Mayan pyramids and the symbols all over the world, you're going to find this serpent. Crazy. But it is what it is. Hanton's interrupting here again. Please tell me how this differs from the Garden of Eden. And even in the Bible, in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve, two humans, the serpent came and said, "Hey, you were told not to eat of that tree of knowledge because it'll kill you." Well, I'm here to tell you now, it won't kill you. God doesn't want you to know all those secrets. So they ate of the tree of knowledge, the apple. And then we have these Apple computers, and apparently some sinister thing with that. By the way, a lot of these symbols and names, if you check with a numerology calculator, equals 666. Kissinger equals 666. Eric Schmidt, CEO for Google, equals 666. Monsanto, the genetically altered food, herbicides, and pesticides company that was sued in California, poisoning people, is 666. But here's the catch. Computer, the word computer, is 666. Santa Claus is 666. Our whole reality is permeated with these satanic serpentine forces. We better wake up. And don't believe me, go on 4winds10.com.org, whatever it is, the Phoenix Journals, look them up, the Phoenix Journals, and get these Contact magazines, or the Liberator, which was a magazine before that, or the Phoenix Journals, and read this stuff and do some homework, watch some videos, look up the symbols, and see, even on the dollar bill, all over it is 13. So let's just talk about 13 for a minute. A witch's coven has 13 witches. On the dollar bill, all over it is 13, 13, 13. There are 13 moons a year, but we have 12 months. Why is that? We have 12 signs in astrology, but there are 13 moons. Well, come to find out, if you do some research, there are actually 13 months, 13 astrological signs, and they eliminated the one called Orpheus, and in the heavens it's a symbol for the serpent. You can look all this up. So they wanted to take the 13th month out of our reality, our awareness, and the symbol is not like Aquarius or Leo the lion or whatever. Aquarius, the water bearer. The 13th sign is Orpheus, the serpent. You see what we're dealing with? Back to this Hanton interrupting Norio. But tell me how this differs from the Garden of Eden. It doesn't, and Lucifer didn't present as a snake then either. By the way, for the people who shared the Akhenaten storybook, just realize, for the lack of reference, and the very drawing of Akhenaten, even the name is misspelled, is telling a lie. That Pharaoh, Akhenaten, in Egypt, never wore a serpent ornament anywhere on his being. But he was an extraterrestrial. The serpent is the symbol of evil and always was, and the very emblem of Satan. Moreover, the original warring parasites called themselves the Serpent People, and that can be verified in your history books, for they love their symbol of deceit. And there's one more tidbit, and I'll end this video. Apparently, there have been some rabbis claiming that they are the Serpent People. And I would imagine a lot of so-called Jewish people today don't know that or don't believe that. But there are some rabbis, you can look this up, who bragged about being part of not part of, but actually being the serpent people. So all this stuff that we see going on in the world today, and the threatening attack on Iran, and 9/11 and World War I and World War II and revolutions before that, is all being orchestrated by secret societies who worship the serpent. Thank you for watching my video. Rick Miracle reporting.